Well, I'm back with a show. The show's gonna be called The Garage, but just so you know, I'm not talking about the actual place, which you probably already know that. Hold on, let me make the camera angle a little different. Hopefully the show goes good, and I got a new SIM card or something that was used or whatever. So hopefully, if I'm correct, I can record this whole show in one video. I think I can. Hopefully that's how it is. Hopefully I can record this in one video and not have to split it up into 3 or 4 parts. This is probably the last show I'm going to smash this Epiphone. It says The Garage on it because but it's backwards for y'all. So y'all can't see it correctly, but it does say The Garage. It's just backwards because of the camera. This is probably going to be the last time I'm going to smash it, probably, because I'm kind of tired of just smashing it. I mean, it's fun, but, I mean, if there's anybody that watches, me smash this guitar in a lot of videos, if somebody, because I bet that the only people that actually care about that, I bet they're probably tired of me smashing this thing over and over. Now, I know there's a guy that watched a few of my videos and he likes when I smashed that Epiphone a while back in Basement Show 20. But, and he told me to smash my green guitar, but to be honest with you, I love the guitar too much. I mean, it's beat up. It's not the most perfect guitar ever. I personally think it's a really good quality guitar. I don't think the action's bad. It doesn't have, high action down here. I think the pickups sound pretty good. I mean, a tone knob is broken, but, that's my fault. The only bad things about this guitar are most likely for me beating it up. And, right now I'm doing something called the Basement Tour 2. So it's basically a second basement tour that I started soon after the first one. I have to finish that. I have to finish this tour I'm on in my basement. This is not the last show, but I have a few shows left. But, I have to finish it, and I don't really have a lot of opportunities to just buy a good guitar. I mean, I could probably convince my dad to, get me a cheaper guitar to use or smash, but once I get the chance, I'll buy a bunch of very cheap guitars, and I will smash them for that guy. I mean, not in a while. I'm imagining, that, in a little while I can get some money together and I can get myself 1 or 2 very cheap electric guitars, and then I'll buy myself a bunch of full or just acoustics. I'll buy myself a bunch of acoustics to smash cheap ones. But I don't really have an on-hand backup guitar. I mean, if that Epiphone wasn't broken, I would have used it, but that Epiphone originally broke from an accident, and then I tried fixing it. I did fix it, but over a little bit of time, it kind of fell apart more and more, and then a big chunk came out the back on accident. Kind of on accident. I didn't want it to happen, but at one point I realized that a chunk went out the back of the whole body, the part that's connecting to the neck, and a whole chunk out the back. Once that happened, I figured I'm just gonna smash it. I'm just gonna use it as destruction. And I did, for a while. I might even smash it again, but, I'm kind of tired of doing that. I glued it up. I glued it up and wrapped the tape pretty tightly around it. I mean, literally, like... I mean, literally, the front of the body doesn't look that taped up, but the whole back of it is taped up. Hopefully the show goes good, and hopefully I can record it all in one video instead of splitting it into parts. So I think I just gained too many videos just from parts. But yeah. I can't play Beeswax yet. I don't know how to play it exactly correctly. the video because I need a second to think of how many songs I've already done.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I've done 9 songs already. I'm probably gonna do a few more, probably 12 or 14 songs.